Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and banks bracing for a run on cash. The Wall Street Journal reported last Wednesday that several banks were experiencing large amounts of cash being withdrawn. Yet this is one more reason why banks will want to adopt a digital currency, something they can control. It's much easier to control a digital currency, turn it on, turn it off, than it is when someone has cash in hand. And did you know that according to McKinsey, cash operations still account for between 5 and 10% of total banking operating costs? This is another reason why banks are getting closer to the central bank digital currency. So in this video, I'm going to show you how the current global events are pushing the banks into a corner. And that will put digital asset XRP into the brightest spotlight it's ever seen. So could the central banks really ditch fiat? Well, according to this report that was passed out at the World Economic Forum in Davos this year, on page 8, they do address the fact that with cross borders in relationship to the central bank digital currency, the present day currency frictions still remain. And those frictions, of course, are the third-party risk and also the foreign exchange risk. The Central Bank of the Bahamas, they launched a CBDC, as they are called in short. This is a pilot that went off on December 27th, and the initiative is called Project Sand Dollar. It'll be the Bahamas' first digital currency, citing benefits that it strengthens against money laundering, terrorist financing, and for this country, less risk of violent crimes that target holders of cash. So Sweden, too, began testing their central bank digital currency on the 21st of February. They are making payments in e-krona and say that it is easy as sending a text. That is on the Riksbank website. So using the distributed ledger technology with a two-tier structure. First, the banks that are participating in the network will be issued the e-krona. The second tier will distribute then to end users. The network of participants, this is private. So it's a standalone system. The solution is based on R3's distributed ledger technology, the Corda platform, but it is just really an example of a walled garden. So as the world's governments are competing to be the first to officially say they are handling their central bank digital currency, you can see from this March 2020 review that is coming from the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, 151 pages, that not one project that is underway is focused on payments beyond the jurisdiction of the central bank. Yeah, not one. So you can't say that this CBDC is going to solve the cross-border payments as XRP does. So as of now, the study from the Bank of International Settlements, which by the way is owned by central banks, 60 members, 35 from Europe, 13 from Asia, 5 from South America, 3 from North America, 2 in Oceania, and 2 in Africa. But it's clear CBDCs are not for cross-border payments. So why then would the CBDC be created? It's basically just digitized versions of fiat. They can control it, yes, and you still, though, have to change with that issue of going from one currency to another currency. And XRP, when used as a bridge, you don't have that same complication. It does it in seconds, and you don't have to pre-fund those correspondent banking partner accounts. So as Brad Garlinghouse says, should the central bank digital currency be adopted, it still is essential to have the ideal cross-border settlement asset, such as XRP, because it's neutral. So January 2020, the central bank in France recognized this, and in their 47-page report, you can see that on page 28, the central bank digital currency settlement across the borders is complex. But they do cite that it could be exchanged via a secondary blockchain like Ripple. It's possible. So moving from one currency to another currency right now, especially, has more risk than ever. The current global situation is raising currency uncertainty. And there is a lot of disorderly moves. In these intraday trades, the swings are just crazy. The pound fell last Thursday 5% in 15 minutes. The Canadian dollar is swinging 9%. The Australian dollar 12%. The Norwegian krona 20%. The risks have been amplified with money that is allocated in the pre-funded accounts to maintain those correspondent banking relationships. That is what is required if you move the money across borders without XRP. 6 days ago, SWIFT delayed its cross-border payment migration, and this is now being pushed to the end of 2022 at best. Banks had trouble preparing for the move because of the complexity of the transition. So banks are facing this liquidity strain as corporations also tap into their revolving credits. Ford Motor, they drew down $15 billion on Thursday. Air Canada, Expedia, Wynn Resorts, $22 billion collectively. The Hilton, $1.8 billion. Air France, KLM, $1.2 billion. Kraft Heinz, $4 billion. So this is a health crisis that is now triggering a financial crisis. And maybe the most shocking news that I came across while preparing for this video is that the Bank of England cancels its stress tests for UK's biggest banks. It's the first time since the annual health check began as a result from the last financial crisis. It's just crazy. All right, so banks are on the global retreat of correspondent banks, citing relations of pre-funded accounts are risky and not cost effective. And so to recap, the reasons why Ripple and XRP have the staying power is one, CBDCs, they do not address the third-party risk that banks are faced with. Two, in a time of extreme pressures on the banks, they will retreat even faster from parking money around the world with their banking partners. And third, to withstand the headwinds, on-demand liquidity, well, let me just take you right here to an actual quote. The on-demand liquidity has the potential to reduce liquidity costs up to 60% compared to the traditional banking solutions, guaranteeing some of the most competitive FX rates available. Yes, okay. And there is a very good interview with the sister of Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Facebook. This is his sister who has a channel on SiriusXM. It's called Randy Zuckerberg Means Business. Now, I don't know why, but I didn't have any problem doing a trial from Japan. A lot of people, after I tweeted out that you can do a free trial to listen to it, told me that they were blocked because they're not in the US. And I'm not running a VPN, so I'm not sure why it was that I could get in, but should you be in the US, I think you have no trouble to do a trial. And if you're outside of the United States, I'm just not so sure. But after a massive fallout and hype, basically, Ripple is still there, and this is a company to keep your eye on, according to Randy. Okay, everybody, I'm jumping to the fluff. It looks like I lost my picture, but I'm just going to continue anyway. I want to talk about something that I have had on my bucket list ever since I moved to Japan, and this is all about a three-stringed instrument called a shamisen. This is well, it's very unique to Japan in the way that it is played and it sounds. There are three distinct methods in terms of playing style, and the sound is also very different. You have the sound that comes from Okinawa, that is in the south region of Japan, and it's really lovely. And then you have the style which is born from the more traditional kabuki stage theater, and then you have the style from up north. This is bold, aggressive, and full of emotion, reflecting the region for which has been a very tough place to live for centuries, mostly because of the extra effort it requires because of the severe weather. So whether you are fishing or farming, the natural conditions have shaped the sound of the shamisen instrument. And imagine if you were to wrap blues, jazz, and hip hop with a little rap all into one, but Japanese style. That is what it sounds like. And it's going to have the Suguru Shamisen World Cup Championship on May 3rd and 4th. And it's really a global event, as you can see from the faces of the competitors. It crosses over every corner of the globe in terms of those participants. And luckily, if I do go, I'll feel like I got a bonus because it'll be cherry blossom season up north in May. So to get it 2 times in a year is really would be something. And I want to just let you listen to a brief sound of the Suguru shamisen style. Here we go. Well, I could go on forever, but I won't. I will stop there, and I hope you have a chance to explore even more. Okay, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.